Hello everybody. My name is Father Samuel. I'm the Armenian Superior of the Holy Sepulchre Church, next to Catholic and Greek superiors. Holy Sepulchre Church is established initially during the 4th century when Constantine the Great came and he built two small chapels, one on Golgotha, site where Christ was crucified, and the other one on the tomb where Christ was buried. Later, when the Crusaders came, beginning of 11th century, they pulled those two, they destroyed those two chapels. They built this present building, and more or less today's architectural structure of the Holy Sepulchre Church is from the Crusaders' time, despite the fact that the Crusaders' construction was also destroyed a few times by the invaders, but more or less they rebuilt it, and we could say that the present building has the Crusaders' architecture. In the Holy Sepulchre Church and in other holy places, there are several Christian denominations who operate in those places. In Holy Sepulchre Church and in Bethlehem, where Christ is born, and St. Mary Church, where Christ's mother, Mary, was buried. In those main three holy places, the Armenians, Greeks, and Catholics have certain, they share together those areas. Here in Holy Sepulchre Church, there is a status quo which governs the three denominations, in which it describes how many areas and what they can do, each denomination in this church. Greeks, Armenians, and Catholics, considering the fact that the churches are separated in the middle of 5th century, we here work together, pray together, and live together. Despite the fact that each one may have different ideas or opinions about certain issues, however, we are used to live together as in harmony as possible. The Armenians have been in holy places centuries ago. I could probably say about 15th to 16th century. The Armenians lived here when the church was not divided in holy places. The church was divided here in the beginning of 7th century. And because of that situation, when Armenians came in 5th century and afterwards, they were accepted by the other Christians because of the church was not divided. They accepted each other as brothers and sisters. But when the church was divided in Jerusalem, each one kept what he had as a construction or rights in the holy places. When the Persians conquered Jerusalem in the beginning of 7th century, it's 613 or 14, they took captive Christ's cross, which was standing in full size at the crucifixion site. They took that cross and the Armenian Patriarch with them to Persia. The cross stayed in Persia about 14 years. So when they were defeated by the Byzantine Empire, the cross was brought back to holy place, and it was erected in exactly the same place where Christ was crucified. I say this because I mentioned that the Armenian Patriarch Abraham was taken as a captive, which means that Armenians already had established themselves as a patriarchate. So it means something that Armenians were here at least from the 7th century. Armenians in holy places, in Holy Land rather, according to our records, we've had 72 monasteries or churches. Now we have St. James, the cathedral of the Armenian Church, built on Mount Zion, where the Armenian quarter is there. The old Jerusalem, the city, old Jerusalem, which is has a wall around. If you divide that 6 parts, 1/6 of that area is called the Armenian quarter. Next to Jewish quarter and the Christian quarter. So these quarters, they live together in the same area. The Armenian Patriarch established, as I said, a long time ago, and we have seven where we prepare priests for the monastery, for the holy places, technically. And we also have a printing house where we print religious books long time ago. The Armenians were the first who brought in Jerusalem the printing art. Also they developed the photography in Holy Land. Speaking of the holy places, we share with the Greeks, for example, the tomb of Christ, the tomb of St. Mary in Gethsemane, where Mary was buried there. So the status quo that we have is the main thing that controls and specifies the areas and the rights each one has. Today, soon we will celebrate Easter in this place in Holy Sepulchre Church. Tomorrow, there will be in the courtyard of the Holy Sepulchre Church washing of the feet by the Greek Patriarchate. And on Friday, there will be the crucifixion in the morning, and in the afternoon, the burial of Christ. And on Saturday, around noon, in presence of thousands of pilgrims in Holy Sepulchre Church, we will celebrate the Holy Fire ceremony, which signifies the resurrection of Christ, the victory that Christ won against death. We say in our prayer that Christ trampled death by his death, meaning that Christians will not die. They may lose their body, the physical body, but they will not die. That's the victory that Christ had. After the celebration, let me specify more further in detail how the celebration of the Holy Fire is done. It's a ceremony done by the Greeks and the Armenians together with processions. Later, only the Patriarch and the Armenian Patriarch's representative will enter inside the tomb, and they go together inside the tomb. After they say their prayers, the ceremony of the fire is conducted by lighting the bundles of the candles that they have in their hands from the oil lamp, which is already lit on the tomb, on the marble of the tomb. I believe that miracles have happened in the past. According to my knowledge, 2 times miracles have happened. One, the conqueror Salah ad-Din conquered Jerusalem. He heard about the holy fire that was done by miracle. He didn't believe it. He said he wanted to see it with his own eyes. So he came to be present to the ceremony. He ordered to extinguish all the candles and oil lamps. And when the right time came during the service, all the candles and the oil lamps were lit miraculously. He didn't believe it. For the second time, he ordered to extinguish all the lights. For the second time, all the candles and oil lamps were lit again. He ordered third time to extinguish all the candles and oil lamps. For the third time, again, the miracle happened that all the candles and oil lamps were lit again. I said this so that in the past, miracles have happened. It is true, although we haven't seen it in our eyes today. And the second one that I'm aware of it happened in the middle of 18th century when we had a Patriarch, Gregory, the chain bearer. At that time, the Easter did not, our Easter and Orthodox Easter did not meet together. We're supposed to have been together so that the Holy Fire celebration would have been done together. They decided to have the ceremony of the fire be done individually and independently. Greeks did their Holy Fire ceremony. At that time, the candles and the oil lamps did not light by miracle. But when the Armenians, a week later, Armenians did their ceremony, the candles and the oil lamps lit miraculously, to which non-Christians witnessed. So we read this kind of miracles that happened in the past. I'll be happy to see miracle with my own eyes, of course. Why not? But I have experienced 3 times. I've done the Holy Fire 3 times with the Greek Orthodox representative and Patriarch. What we did was actually, we lit our bundles of candles that we have with us from the oil lamp that is already lit on the tomb of Christ. From that, and we distribute the Holy Fire to the congregation. This doesn't mean that we don't believe in miracles. Let me say this also, that we cannot order God to perform a miracle on a specific time of the year whenever we want. Performing a miracle is not a show. Rather, it has to serve a purpose that God wants. Therefore, if there is no miracle happen, that doesn't mean God is not there. God is there. But He does things according to His will. Therefore, we celebrate the miracles that happened in the past. As I said at the beginning, we celebrate Christ's resurrection with Holy Fire ceremony. As Christ said, He is the light of the world, which means that we cannot bury light. So He was resurrected. Therefore, when we celebrate the Holy Fire in a couple days, I wish the whole world the world will recognize the reality of Christianity and the message of Christianity to bring and to spread love to the whole world, to every individual that really wants and expects to have love. Because love is the essence of life that controls and governs life that God created. God is love. Therefore, whatever He has created must be within the boundaries of His love. The peace that today the world is seeking is missing. The peace essential for the development of the physical body and the spirit that we have. Sometimes we don't realize the importance of that, and we become very personal and antagonist to each other, as maybe we are jealous of each other, which makes us commit many more sins. Therefore, we destroy the target of creating true peace and love among nations. The only time love can succeed, in my understanding, is when the person's heart is in peace. If I'm not in peace, I will create war, or I will create arguments or fights that is against establishing peace. So individually, we have to strive to correct ourselves. The peace that we want, the love that we want, we should establish with our own efforts. God is there to help us to establish those two if we want it. We see here now in front of us the tomb of Christ, the edicule, where Christ is buried. Now, this edicule is built in 1810, following the fire which occurred 1808. Now, the edict itself belongs, when I say belongs, they are responsible, the Armenians, Greeks and Catholics together, they are responsible to this tomb. And the rotunda, the surrounding area that you see, also is part of the tomb. So only the Armenians, Greeks and Catholics have responsibility to take care of its renovations. About a couple of years ago, we renovated the edicule, and the cost was divided, was paid by these three communities or denominations equally. Now, we have, as I said before, we have a schedule that the Greeks will have their Mass every day inside the tomb, and the Armenians will do their Mass right after Greeks finish their Mass. We take it over the tomb, we prepare it, and from, let's say, from 3 to 5 o'clock summertime, and from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm sorry, the Armenians will have their Mass every day inside the tomb. After we finish, we transfer the tomb to the Franciscans, the Catholics, and they will do their Mass. This is done every day for the three communities. Also, we have two other denominations, the Coptic Church and the Assyrian Church. They also have certain rights, but they don't possess any area. The Coptic Church, in the back of the tomb, they have a small chapel which was built around the 16th century. That's the only thing they have in which they do their Mass and services Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday evening, and Sunday morning, in other words. And the Syrians have the right to have Mass inside the chapel of Arimathea, which belongs to the Armenians. But they have certain rights to have that Mass every Sunday over there. So in other words, we try to manage things as rightfully as possible, peacefully, and working together. It's not easy sometimes, but we try. As a human being, we try our best to not create any problems or disturbances. After all, we all are Christians. I always say I represent the Christian family like a family with several members in it. The members of a family do not think the same way. Each one has a different opinions, different feelings. Sometimes they argue with each other, and sometimes they don't talk with each other sometimes. Well, if we enlarge this small family as a Christian family, we are a Christian family, we will have disagreements, we will have, why not, sometimes fights, but at the same time, we're still Christian family, we live together as close as possible in harmony. this happy occasion of Easter, I wish to the world, people who live in the United States, people who are living in Europe, in Middle East, in Jerusalem, everywhere in the world, I wish them a happy and peaceful celebration of Easter. May the spirit of love, may the spirit of peace of God be dwelled within you. Thank you for giving this opportunity to say these few words to you. Thank you very much.